just got back. I flew in yesterday and you came back from your trip yesterday. So we're just like,
Yeah.
it's just, we're just getting smacked in the face of reality and back to work. There's no breaks.
There I
There's
haven't
no
taken a breath.
downtime.
None. I think the phone call started
Get in
rolling at
there.
7 a.m. Let's get it done. And
Get in there.
it's a great week because our client,
Yes.
like we have a client together that we're closing today at noon.
Yes.
And this one hits hard. This one
Hmm.
is us helping, and we actually love to help, and we're helping our client get out of a scenario, and it everything's working out perfect. So we're moving on to bigger and better things. And
Yes.
I want to talk about housing. I know you love talking about housing. So we're in the right forum for closing today and to talk to
Yes.
all of our
You can tell we're
followers.
closing. We're both dressed up. We got our hair curled. We're looking cute.
Just a little.
Yeah, so today we're going to get right to it because we've, like Cece just said, we have to leave and go close one of our clients out today.
Mhm.
So I thought would be a cool topic for us to talk about. Everyone's talking about the market ups and downs, ebbs and flows, rate and this and that. And is it going to go up? Is it go down? What's happening? But one sector I think that's interesting, maybe you can call it a niche in real estate, is the luxury market. And what's interesting is where I'm going to throw some stats out there, but when you look at the luxury market, you're looking at, obviously it's not just a price point, right? So obviously it's luxury home pricing is considered, it's different for every state. So this is what some people don't know. um what's considered luxury in California and that price point is very different from what we have in Detroit area, right? From our market
Mhm.
and the New York market. Something for us that's $1 million is definitely luxury. But in California, I think that's you're just putting two boxes together and taping it.
Yeah.
So that's not really luxury. So again, it's not this, the numbers aren't always the same. So we're gonna kind of hit like a little bit on national and what's going on here in Michigan, because I know we've got people all over. We've got our Michigan people. So what I think is interesting, I'm gonna just throw a couple stats and I'd love to get your perspective on the financing aspect of it. So, nationally, looking at the whole country, the luxury prices are still rising. So, that I think is interesting to note. It's around 1.35 million nationally. Okay. But the sales are slowing and more buyers are opting to pay cash, which is kind of obvious, but we'll get into that in a minute. Although Michigan, we're still seeing a lot of strong like momentum moving forward. We Detroit is still one of the very few places where you can buy a luxury home under 1 million. So I know like the stats for us with what a luxury listing is here is 700,000. That's kind of like the delineating 700,000 and up in our market is considered luxury. So and of course, for a lot of other places, they're like, that's not luxury, but it is here in Michigan. And our statewide median prices are up 6.6% year over year. You're not going to hear that in every state. That's why Michigan's growing. Like, there's a lot of states in a buyer's market. Their sales are under right now. They're struggling. Not for us. Okay. So, we've got everything from, like I said, $700,000 house. Bloomfield's got a listing like 5.5 million right now. Like, we're all over the board. We're all
Mhm.
over the board. But the cool thing is looking at the luxury aspect of things. Like, and I want to dive into that a little bit. Let's just talk about that first point, CC. So, when I said that the national luxury price is around 1.35 million and it's still rising across the board, across the country, but the sales are slowing. Okay, so we got a little dip in the amount of sales, which is just normal for right now. But more buyers are opting to pay cash, which I know you don't love to hear because you're like, what about me? Pick me.
It
But
I
why?
know, but it touches on what we discussed last week, and we had an amazing conversation last week. So
So
whoever's
good.
watching now, you should see the last episode, and it was about the goals and it was about getting there. So if I have a client who's taking money out of retirement to pay cash on a house, then we can do something called a delay financing. And that's where I
Mhm.
come in on the back end, where I do come in on on the residential mortgage side. So yeah, they're taking money out per their financial planner's opinion, and I would
Mhm.
seek I would definitely seek a professional on this, but they are taking money from their retirement, paying cash to beat everybody out,
Right.
then going back and doing a delayed financing and putting money back in. It's a whole game. So, yes, they're paying cash, but on the back end, I'd love to know the stats. And it's something that I can't do to see immediately how fast they do a cash out refinance.
Right.
I'm curious because I know there's stats on that. I don't know how to find, okay, if you buy a house, how soon do you do a cash out refinance? So there's loopholes and there's things. Contact me. I can get deeper into it right now. We don't have to. But it's interesting you saying that because when you're talking about luxury starting at 700,000, we
Hmm.
know by living here in the Detroit area what kind of incomes that is. And
Yes.
usually you start investing a lot sooner. So to have an investment portfolio match the type of house that you're going to purchase, yes, they can go in typically and put money down if
Hmm.
they've done it or put a
Hmm.
big chunk down. Because I am
Hmm.
seeing, I have clients right now who are purchasing a house. Gosh, even our client today is purchasing a house and
Yes.
their loan to value is 67%. They're putting that much down because it's comfortable and it financially makes sense for them. I have another client who just, it's a VA client. They sold a house. They just put $220,000 down on an $800,000 house, leaving them a smaller amount in that mortgage. So they're leveraging what they want to do to get into that next market. They leverage their
Right.
house, they leverage their retirement funds to get into that market that they want to be in, or school district, or location. We have our bubbles. So location is huge, and
Hmm.
that kind of goes in with it. I know in my area where I live, 700,000 is almost average. I hate
Hmm.
to say that because it's not average. That is not the average
No, it's
for
true.
American society. It's not, but here in our
It's
area,
true.
700,000 is something that you can walk in and not have to fix a thing. There's a
Right.
pool, there's a patio, you have built-in friends next door, there's kids in the neighborhood, and it's a good school district.
Yes.
So I hate to say that, and that's what people want. They want that already established. Now you have
Yes.
the other side that wants to fix up homes. That's great, but there's that threshold where I think you should discuss of like going from, okay, we're going to buy a house at 350. Well, in our area, that's a fixer upper. You're
Right.
dumping 100,000 in. So you're already at, instead of 350, you're at 450. It's 450, you're already at
Dang.
five.
What you
What?
just, you have to stop at what you just said, because that's exactly it. We are looking at money perspective. So we're looking at, okay, the price tag for 350 I can afford, but they're not thinking about, how am I going to get the money to do all the things that really have to get done? Because if all of these things literally keep happening, like it,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I just got to do something real quick.
Thank you.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, cool. 1 second. Just give me a second. Sorry, guys. This has never happened before.
We usually
It's
have, and it's hard on lives that there's comments
Yeah,
that
it's not letting me
the
completely do
recording you're not
whatever
going
it
to
is.
see.
Yeah, you're not going to
Yeah,
see that. I just have somebody spamming right now. So,
yeah, it's a
anywho, sorry.
ridiculous.
But it's not gonna change our angle here. So what you said was $350,000 looks great on paper. Problem is, if it needs 100,000, let's say, and now we had a listing. Remember, you did the open house with me, and you called it the
I
ugly
did.
duckling. That house was 350,000. The bones were amazing. They're gonna put a lot of money into it. In fact, I want to reach back out. I just thought of that house the other day
You
and see what they
should.
spent. I'm going to, and I want pictures. But here's the thing: is you got to look at, what is that leverage to get what I need done. Am I going to have to do a home equity line down the line, because I can't do it right away? You can't pull out 100,000 on the house you just bought. How am I going to get this 100,000 or 50,000 or whatever I need to do the work? Or
Mhm.
do I just find out what I need to do to get into that price point where I can walk in and not have to do everything? This is what we're talking about. And 350 isn't luxury, but when you're looking at, it's a mindset. It's always a mindset thing. You've
It
got to
is.
understand how money works. If you want to walk in and not do anything, there's a
You gotta
price
pay
point for
for
that.
it. There's a
Got to
price
pay
point. If you're
for
not
it.
handy, you gotta pay for it.
Got to pay
Unless
for it.
you wanna get your hands dirty, and even then, I know people who just went in and purchased a $500,000 house in a neighborhood that sells for 8 to 900,000, and they still have to put money in, but the guy is a contractor, he does this for a living, and he has enough family members who all live inside, um, that all work within somewhere, somehow, that construction industry. So it makes sense for him to get into a level of a neighborhood that he wants. Okay, let's be honest, his wife wanted it,
Right.
and then he's going to make it happen. So he got in low, invested, and now he's going to be fixing up the property. So he's at 500,000 price point, and now he's going to level up to get to
Hmm.
where his wife wants to be, and they did it smart. So you don't
Hmm.
have to buy that 700, 800, 900.
Oh,
Use
Cece just
Oh,
went.
there I
Oh,
am.
there she is. Keep going. You don't have to buy that 700, 800, 900,000. Okay. She's in and out. She'll be back. This is what happens sometimes on our live stream, just because it's, oh, she's totally gone. She'll be back soon. So I'm gonna go into a couple of these while we're getting Cece back. I'm gonna go into a couple of these. Um, Here she is. A couple of these stats while we're getting her back. I mentioned that the typical luxury sale is 1.35 million. That was in April. Now that was up. Okay, that's across the whole country. That was up 6.5% year over year. So just keep in mind when they talk about prices are down or this and that, that's specific markets because actually, and not just specific markets, but price points because it's up 6.5% year over year for the luxury market. And the pending sales, here's what's interesting, they dropped 10%, which is the lowest since April of 2014. So the pending sales dropped. And I think that just goes with the market. People are asking themselves, is this the time for me to buy? Because I think it has a lot to do with, and Cece, you can give your 2 cents on this too. But like with the new administration coming in, a lot of different changes. We're going to do tariffs. We're going to do this. We're changing this. We're going to do that. We had a lot of people that were kind of like, not that they agreed or did or disagreed, but people that are going to make big financial decisions, even luxury people, like even people who are spending more, they're still watching. They want a strategic investment. If they're going to buy, they want to make sure it's a strategic investment. So I think all of that kind of just pulls together to say, everybody put a little hold on for a moment. And we do have, one of the stats says we have less inventory this year and last year than we had in 2008. And I think I've mentioned it before. In 2008, there was still business. Remember, there was a lot of foreclosure
Mhm.
business going on. So you had to learn. So here's the thing: you had to learn how to do foreclosures back then as a real estate agent, or you were out. This market, you have to learn how to really. Oh my
We're just
goodness!
there we are.
I'm
There we
like,
are.
this is
Keep
so
going.
fun. So yeah, you just have to navigate those you have to know how to navigate the current challenges. And I want to say hi to Bree. If you're still on Track Attack, that's amazing. Has 3 houses to sell in Alabama. If you need an agent in Alabama, let me know. I'll get you one. But you were in the middle of something when you froze. I just wanted to kind of give some of those little stats to talk about, when you're looking at the market, we look at it holistically, but then you want to look at it in your area. And I know you were saying 700, 800, 900,000, and you were on a great track, and then we lost you. So I don't know if you want to pick up there,
No, just
or did
just
you?
within our area and other pockets in the nation, you
Hmm.
take a look at where you want to be, how much, and then you just become strategic. So as we're talking about luxury, as we're talking about moving forward and having that ability to say, okay, these are my goals, this is where I want to live. That's This is great, and I would like to know, because this is not my side. I do the financial, I do the bumping, like, okay, here are the expectations, this is what I need. But for you, for luxury, when you have a client come to you and say, "These are my goals," if they want a turnkey property, what does that look like? Because I feel like so many people are let down by HGTV.
Oh my
Let me just put it
gosh.
out there, because they want the house at 350, 450 look like the $700,000 house, and that's
Mhm.
not factual. So when you have clients come to you and they're like, "I want this area," and when they start describing their bubble and they're in that low bracket of luxury starting at 700,000 or going to a mill. Now you can't get a house for $1 million in Birmingham that is in that bubble that they want. They may need 2 point something million, but a million here over on this side of Detroit actually gets you a lot. So how
Yes.
do you navigate someone who wants a very specific bubble of what they want, and I wanna say, guide them
Translate it.
to the areas. Yeah, like,
Mhm.
how do you do that? Because I know for me, financially, oh, and numbers don't lie. My
Right.
budgeting does not lie. You can afford this, yes or no. But after they get the yes, how does my client go to you saying, "This is my budget. Now I wanna be here, here, and here," and they may not make one, but they may want over here, and they may not make it because that area is so much more expensive than over here. Like, how do you wade through those waters?
Right. That's an amazing question. And first off, I'm going to start by saying it's the people that you surround yourself with and your team. So and I'm not just trying to prop you up because, you're here and you're a great lender, but that is the truth because if you don't align yourself with someone who does exactly what you just stated. So for me to be successful, I can run around showing houses all day long, but if the pre-approval letter I have doesn't mean anything, I'm wasting my time and my
Mhm,
expertise and I'm just frustrating myself. So I've got to have somebody that I'm partnered with that's working with me. And I go to you like you're my mom or dad, and I'm like, hey, what can I spend? And okay, and if I'm in all different areas, tell me about where I can go with taxes. So I have to number one understand the numbers, the math of it. I have to understand these are the areas that this person wants to be. What are the taxes there? Has the lender taken that into account when they're giving me this pre-approval? And if so, what is that number that you're basing it on? What is that? What do I have to work with for an escrow, right? If we're escrowing, which typically
mhm.
usually we are.
Well, you
So
still have to be approved with the escrow amount if they're escrowing or not. They still have to be approved. So that's doesn't mean anything if it's
oh
escrowed
good.
or
Fun
not.
fact. Good to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have to be approved with the whole kit and boodle of that payment, the principal, the interest, the taxes, and the insurance and HOA fees. There's
Okay.
5.
So that's
So
good. It's good to know for
even if
people. Even if
they
you're not going to ask for the taxes, you have to be
yep,
approved. It makes
you
sense
have to be
because you
able
got to pay the
to
taxes.
afford it. We're not gonna lend you
You want to know
money.
why? Because that
Yeah,
lender is concerned because the only one that supersedes the lender is the IRS on so
the
if you
state.
don't pay your taxes and the house gets
Yes,
taken, they get paid first. So of course the lender is going to be concerned and want to make sure that that's addressed. Makes perfect sense. So
correct.
so basically that's number one is making sure I'm working with somebody who hasn't been in the business 2 seconds and actually knows what they're doing and can pivot and be strategic for what the client wants. So number 2 is to ask the client what they want and to paint a picture, to take all my notes. And I kind of make it, and I don't say this out loud to them, but I make a discernment to myself. Is this person logical and realistic? Has the lender, if they talk to the lender first, because sometimes they don't, set them up for success? Some lenders will say, oh, you can get this house. You just need X amount in concessions, which is money back from the seller. Well, if we're not in a market that's conducive to that or an area that's conducive to that, then basically they're
Yeah,
setting up the client to fail and asking me to become a magician. That's not a partnership. That's unfair. Don't set me up to look like I can't do what you said to do when it's not possible. There are lenders out there who do that. And that's a big pet peeve, I think, of a lot of agents. If they need concessions, that's fine. If that's the only way they can buy, then I have to set up that different. So we're not going to talk about that today, but that's something else. So again, a lot of it comes back to expectations and setting the picture straight, finding out what the client wants. That's the most important thing. I want to, I'm not going to say, hey, you have to buy this house, even though you don't want it, but let's get realistic. What exactly do you want? Where do you want to be? So if what they want, where they want to be, and how much money they have doesn't match, then I have to say the money can't change. Okay. So this is a given. We can't change that. We can look at where you want to be and what you want to have. So if what's more important, do you want that turnkey house where there's not much for you to do? Or do you absolutely have to be in that area? Some people will say for different reasons, I'm divorced, I'm this, and the kids have to stay in this school. It has to be this area or this school district. Okay, so now we know the money and we know the area. Now I'm going to show you what your money gets you. So I may or may not be able to get you what you want in that exact area, but that's where we have that. I call it the come to Jesus moment because I'm not a magician. I don't have superpowers. I mean, I feel like I do wear a cape most days, but I don't have the ability to just zap you with more money or to zap a seller to give you a house under market value. So the most important thing, and I love this question that CC asked, and I'm sure she's just having some issues with her Wi-Fi, or people keep calling her and she doesn't have do not disturb on. That's very possible. But what's really, really important to know is that You have to, as an agent, be able to sit with your client and have those really, sometimes they're tough conversations. Sometimes they're conversations where you have to, but you have to do, that's your job. That's what I get paid to do. If I'm running you around and we're basically window shopping because we can't afford what we're looking at, I'm wasting my time, we're wasting your time, and that doesn't make any sense at all. So when I sit down with someone, I really want to find what's important to them and get them into that at the price point they can afford. And sometimes they can afford more than they want to spend. So whatever they're comfortable with spending, I want to find the right place. Now, what you really want to know when you're working with an agent is you want your agent to be able to find you what you want. So sometimes what you think you want isn't exactly what is going to work for you. So what you need to do is you need to be working with an agent who can say, okay, this is how much money we have and this is what you really want. So if the area doesn't have to be that area, okay, I know you really want this area, but guess what? There's this area. This is area A. Area B. So you want walkability. You like the downtown area. Blah, blah. I'll just use areas that we have here. So we've got Rochester, we've got Birmingham, we've got Royal Oak, we've got Detroit, walkability and downtown areas. Let's say you love those areas and you're like, oh, I'd love to be in Royal Oak, let's say. But Royal Oak, you might be able to get. Let's say Rochester. You love Rochester. Okay. You're not going to be able to get into Rochester with the money that you have. But you want to stay in Oakland County. You just have to think about being in Oakland County. We can look in other areas. There's a lot of up and coming areas that have walkable cities. Berkeley is very up and coming. Madison Heights is very up and coming. There's different pockets all over. Ferndale obviously is already there with that. Their price points are popping up. Clawson,
They
there's
are.
yeah, Clawson's a great spot. It's very small, but it's a great spot for people. Also, they kind of forget about that. Still in that little Woodward corridor kind of area. You're kind of still close enough to
I
everything.
love Clausen.
It's
It's
so
so
cute, and it's got the best, noble fish, sushi. But that's the whole thing is getting realistic, finding out what you really want, and being open to the fact that maybe what you really want isn't in the exact place that you thought it was. But if, again, I'm going to reiterate it one more time, if you have to be in that city for whatever reason, then you've got to change your expectation of what the house is going to look like. Then we're looking at what your budget is. We're going to go see all those houses, and we're not going to see anything listed above that when it first lists, because then we're wasting our time because we can't even
yeah,
offer there. No one's taking a lower offer first day on the market, second day on the market. Now, if it's been sitting on the market for 21 days, let's go see it. Let's go
different.
see it. Strategy.
Completely different.
Strategy. So
And
that's the
that's where
thing.
you
It's
call
all
me
about,
again,
yes, it's
and
the
we
come to Jesus,
pick
and
up.
it's the conversation, and
Mhm.
it's the partnership. That's what it really all is. It has to all line up. If you have a client that just refuses to understand that, and I don't think there's really ever been an issue where I've had to get them back on track, but there's never been someone that I had to say, listen, I can't help you. Like, that would really hurt my soul to be able to say. But the truth is, if somebody's mindset is in a place and they're not willing to accept reality, I got to make that decision and say, is this someone that I can help? Because I can't get you what you want because you can't afford it. And
Well,
that's, maybe you need to wait longer. Talk to CC. What you want, we know what you want, what that
and
price point is.
how
What do you
to
need to do to get it? Let's get you
yes,
there. Then let's go get the house. It's time
how to
frame.
get
Now it's timing.
creative.
Yeah.
See, I've had to tell someone no before a few times where it's like, "This is out of your budget. We have to scale back. Are we gonna do something?" And their response, this very last scenario is, "I will do anything." I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, challenge
Good.
accepted.
I like
Went through the
it.
credit report. I'm like, you have assets. Can we pay this off and we'll take your house level from here to here? They're like, we will do it. They came and paid off all of their debt at closing, not before, because we don't want to do it before, but at closing, they paid off all their debt. They got the house that their budget was here. They wanted this, and we
Mhm.
made it work. It still
Mhm.
was workable, but they were set up for success, and mirroring the 2 really helped get to the house that they wanted for the grandbabies, and that's what
Yeah.
they call it, their grandbaby house, because it's so
Yeah.
perfect for when family came over, they could do the family dinners, it was space for that, and that's what you're talking about is, okay, if you're not quite there, how do we get from here to here and level those expectations? And I come in on
100%.
that. I'm right
Yeah.
there with you.
So, and real quickly, because I know I have to, I just got a message pop through that I have to make a phone call. But
Mhm.
really fast, I want to just leave everyone. And if you're just joining us, Cece and I have a closing we have to get to. So, and we had a fire we had
Yes.
to put out, and that's why we got on a little bit late. Because again, that's more important than us. We love
Real
coming
estate.
live, but
That's
our
real
people.
estate.
That's
Welcome
really
to
real
our
estate.
life.
It's really real estate, and that's what our whole
That's
podcast here is called. It's really real estate, and that's
yeah.
what we do. We work for our clients. But really quickly, just to give a couple more stats, I said I had all these stats. And again, just as maybe a shout out to Michigan, to what we have to offer here, to people who might be considering, where should I move? Where can I relocate?
Relocating.
Detroit Metro luxury opportunity median. So the median price point for our luxury market here in the Detroit market, not just the city of Detroit, we call it the Tri-County area basically, which is three counties, is $753,851. That is our median, which is one of the lowest in the nation. Okay, so if you're looking for luxury amenities, and we all know what those are, and we can do another talk in another time, but things that would be considered high end, you have a really great opportunity to find that here. And we'd love to share that with you. Also, our statewide growth, the whole state of Michigan, rose 6.6% year over year, and that's as of June 2025. So we are up 6.6%. And I did the July data because I just got this from a different source, but our July data was 6.7, I believe, percent. So, because we're in August now. So we are growing here in Michigan. We are growing, and we are seeing growth even when other parts of the country are not, which I think it's our turn because we've been through a lot here in Michigan. We got hit harder during the pandemic because of the big three. Won't go into it. Okay. And then finally, what I want to say, our Metro Detroit high median. So the Metro Detroit area, like I said, Macomb County, Wayne County, Oakland County. That's our, when I say tri county, there's three counties that make that up. The median price point for all three of those counties is $352,500. That is up nearly 6%. So that is basically taking all of the sales. Luxury, like I said, is anything over 700,000. They're taking that and they're coming up all of those sales. And the median of the luxury is, like I said, is just under 754,000. So, and I know we're having issues with our Wi-Fi. So that's really everything I had to say for today. I know we got to get ready to close. So thank
We
you
do.
so much for joining. We got to go put the cape on and save the day and make it happen for our good client and new friend.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Holly, thank you for having me on. Again, my name is Cece Machieski. I'm over at Simple Home Lending. Any finance or financial discussions you want to have regarding budget and goals, get a hold of Holly and we'll all work together as a team.
Yes, and my information is down below. You can always find
Mhm.
it, reach out to me, and we'll get whatever you need. Also, make a comment. If you have a question, put a comment. We're happy to answer questions on the next live. Give us a topic to focus on. We love having questions, we love comments, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Everybody be blessed.
Bye.